Hey guys, just thought I'd share with you a little bit of Vienna theory that I've been looking into, and it comes from this position, the semi-copycat, when they bring the knight out. So usually I've played this move, which I think is like the engine recommendation, but what tends to happen here, as you can see, I've got a 53% win rate with that, but more recently I've been toying with the move f4, which is known as the Vienna Gambit Max Lange version, and this does very well for me. They normally bring out their knight, in which case I tend to do rather well after taking the pawn, and they will normally recapture. There we go, and I'm winning 2 out of 3 here, because then you can just strike straight for the centre with d4, and we've gambited a pawn, but we're going to get pretty good results from this. And you can go e5, be like the Halloween gambit, and chase these knights around and doing okay from there. So I've put together a little study on Lichess, which I'll link to in the description. And let's just run through the main lines and what's likely to happen. Okay, so here you can see that the people at my level tend to play bishop c4, which is the recommendation, with an average 53% win rate, which is okay. Yeah, it's not to be sniffed at. Knight f3 is basically a kind of a 3 knights version, but you could find yourself in 4 knights game, which is not really what I want to go for. f4, though, on average, tends to do rather well, and a lot of players as well play g3, which does very well as well. So in this version, if we go for this version of a Vienna Gambit, it's not the same as the Vienna Gambit when they've already got the knight out. But the most common moves are e4, decline with d6, bishop c5, and knight f6. Okay, knight f6 is actually the 4th most common. So let's say they accept. So I haven't looked into the declined lines yet, but I will be adding those. And the most common move here, really, the move that black needs to play is the immediate g5, and black does well from this position. So what I'm thinking is that we can strike with g3. Most common move played is this, and you can stick, well, you pretty much have to stick your knight on the edge now with this, but we do well from this position. Most common is to push forward with f3, and you then can strike for the centre. d6 is the most common move, and then after bishop e3 we're doing okay. So and white winning 55% of the time from here against only 40 for black. Okay, so we'll look at the other accepted lines. So the Vienna game, knight comes out and we strike with f4. They accept. We always bring out our knight. It's 2 knights is the way. And then after d6, we're doing great as well. We can grab the centre. This is the whole point of the gambit, like the King's Gambit and Queen's Gambit. You want to deflect one of black's central pawns away from the centre. And here the most common move is actually bishop to g4, but that's inaccurate, because you can grab your pawn back straight away. If they take, you recapture with a pawn, and we're doing very well, winning almost like 2 out of 3 games from here. Let's look at the 3rd most common response in the accepted line. So f4, they accept, you bring out your knight, and now knight to f6. And this already just isn't very good for black at all. You can just develop your bishop normally. They will probably do the same, preventing you from castling kingside. But again here, because we've got our queen behind our d-pawn, and we've also got the support of this knight, you can go straight out for d4, winning a tempo on this bishop. They'll either drop back to b6 or come forward to b4. Bishop b4 is slightly more common, and then you can just go ahead and castle. And if they also castle at this point, which is the most commonly played move, then e5. Again, winning another tempo on the knight. We've already castled, we've got 3 pieces out on the board, and we have got a very strong claim on the centre. Okay, and the final one in the accepted line, Vienna game, kind of copycat knight, you strike out, always 2 knights. And now with bishop c5, again slightly inaccurate here, because again, they've got 2 attackers on d4, but we've got 2 defenders as well, so again we win a tempo. If they go drop the bishop back here to b6, it's not fantastic. We get our 3rd piece out into the board. We've got options maybe to castle either way as well. And from here, d6 is the most common move. You can just lift your queen and prepare to castle along. They come out, you pin the knight, and in this instance, I mean, very often in the Vienna you will just trade for the queen's knight, but we can just drop back here and we're doing absolutely fine as well. So yeah, I would be interested to know, do you guys play this variation? Because it seems to do very well for me, so I'll do a little bit more homework on this. Like I say, I will link to the study in the description, but please add your comments. I'd love to know what your experience is. Thanks for watching. See you later.